Yeah, we're live. Hi, guys.
Playfair University used to be free in Australia. Trumpeter Patriots will make it free again.
Was felt no immediate damage or injuries were reported.
Yeah, we're off.
Hey, tell me, how did we know about those Russians? Oh, yeah, the CIA.
It's the CIA. Yeah.
Oh,
Hey, the CIA, they're here to protect us. They kept that from us.
Hi, Diane. Hi, Phil. Good to see you guys.
We wouldn't worry about stone making aliens.
Yeah, the first words out of their mouth was probably, "We're from the government and we're here to help."
Here to help. Yeah. But these were Russians. You know, nothing like that would ever happen
Like they
to
deserved
Americans.
it or something? No.
Nothing like that would ever happen to Americans. Well, look, we're going to get to that, but we got some breaking news to take care of tonight. As always, starting tonight, these have been going on all day long. Preliminary magnitude 5.2 earthquake strikes Southern California, and it is continuing with aftershocks. If you live out there in California, let us know in the live chat in the comments how things are going. But a preliminary magnitude 5.2 earthquake and dozens of aftershocks struck Southern California on Monday morning. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, the quake hit at 10:08 a.m. local time this morning, was centered around 2.5 miles south of Julian in San Diego County. And this is where you see the epicenter there. Notable shaking was felt across San Diego, Orange, and Riverside counties. An emergency alert instructed residents to drop, cover, and hold on was sent to phones shortly before the shaking was felt. No immediate damage or injuries were reported. People posted videos of the quake to social media. Now, I'm breaking with that because that's news, but also it seems like every week we're covering 5.9, 6, 7, 7.5s. I'm telling you,
Diane does that every day, mate.
it's not hype. It just seems to me, and we'll get your opinion, that it seems like they're escalating.
Sure,
like something
they are.
is moving.
Sure, they are, along with a lot of other things that are escalating. But since I was old enough to remember, we've been hearing about the big one in California. And I don't say that to demean the situation. It's a very serious situation. I feel a lot of compassion for people who live in California.
Yes.
They have to deal with so
So much.
many things.
Wonderful.
Yeah, sure. But can you imagine? I've never been in an earthquake. I can't imagine what that feels like. I can't imagine the daily concern about your property.
Yeah.
I was in an earthquake in '89, the Newcastle earthquake, and when it hit, it was really weird. The ground had buckled like a wave from the ocean, and I was sitting in this clinic, and the whole clinic rattled, but it felt like a wave on the ground rushed over us, and you can't imagine the ground being that fluid, but it is in an earthquake. It's really crazy.
Being destroyed.
Absolutely.
Being able to afford insurance or any part of the cost of living.
Yeah, you got to really know that you're called to California.
Amen. Phil,
you got to have a ministry and a call, and we got a lot of people that watch us in California,
and they love it. They go there for the climate. They go there,
and they love
love
their neighbors. They love the people, and I believe a lot of people in California that are believers feel like, hey, somebody's got to be the remnant.
Exactly.
And I appreciate that. Somebody's got to stand for Jesus.
Of course.
A lot of major, awesome, tremendous.
Diane, that rocket ship, that looked exactly like a penis, and it had a 5-woman crew on it. So that link is probably onto something there, because it looked like a giant penis.
Ministries are still in California.
They are.
And L.L. Marzulli, not only is he in California dealing with all the things that he's dealing with, he has personally dealt with the fires twice now, at least. One completely destroyed his house, and now he's, for weeks and weeks and weeks, he didn't even have internet to do his program and his show. And many of our people that are watching right now are experiencing that. But I'm pointing out that, hey, that was a sign of the end times. that there'll be earthquakes in diverse places. And then, of course, one of my favorite topics I talk about here all the time is the shaking, the great shaking that's going to happen at the end. And we're going to show you tonight on the big picture that that shaking is happening in the natural and that shaking is happening in the spirit.
Amen.
There is a lot of crazy stuff going on right now.
Yeah,
Some more
amen.
breaking news before we get into tonight's main topic. This was really, really troubling. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. This was shocking. Democratic Governor Josh Shapiro's official mansion as the
Wow.
governor was torched by an arsonist while he and his family were sleeping inside.
He's a Democrat, so who would be doing that?
A man has been arrested on suspicion of terrorism and attempted murder after Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro's mansion was torched overnight while his family slept inside. Harrisburg local Cody Balmer was arrested, 38 years old, was arrested on Sunday and expected to face charges of attempted murder, terrorism, and aggravated arson. Fire crews were dispatched to the Democrat's home in Harrisburg around 2 a.m., Harrisburg fire chief said. Everyone inside the home was in a separate part of the residence when the flames broke out.
Hey, I was going to say,
A significant portion of the estate was damaged from the fire, which broke out just hours after Shapiro posted a picture of his family celebrating Passover on Saturday. The investigation into the terrifying blaze remains ongoing, but authorities have confirmed it was caused by an act of arson. It is unclear if this was an act of hate targeting Shapiro over his politics or religion. Shapiro,
and Phil, isn't that so right? There's that, like Diane posts, there's like 1,000 earthquakes a day all over the planet. I remember the days when one earthquake a year would hit the news.
There's 4 children with his wife Lori shared a post to X about the startling incident. And here's their home, the mansion. This is his family, and this is signs of the arson. Now, what is being reported is that the guy filled beer bottles, made Molotov cocktails out of beer bottles, and chunked these beer bottles, bombs, into this house.
Oh, they weren't Budweiser light beer bottles, were they? I'd be tossing them in.
And supposedly, you don't know what to believe nowadays, but supposedly there was some type of manifesto found where he was hoping to start the fire, get in the house, and I hate to say it this way, be prepared, graphic content here, beat him with a hammer till he was dead. So that, hey, look, I don't care where you are politically. Nobody wants that on anybody.
No.
But I'm gonna tell you, these are the kind of things that happens when you are always stoking violence. And we got several news articles.
On last night's news and this morning's news, they're saying that Russia has offered to use Indonesia as a base. Like, they'll be happy with that. So it's not true, it's just fake news. But the rumor is that they want to put their airplanes in Indonesia.
We'll talk about tonight how,
which is a Muslim country.
There are just an increased, obvious violent spirit that's increasing over our country.
I hate to hear that. You should have known it was coming.
Yeah.
There's just so much. There's like an undertone. It's like it's right.
Yeah, there's no reason for Putin to hide rockets at Indonesia. Indonesia's on the other side of the world to Putin. So it is fake news, you're right.
Is it right?
Yeah.
It's like went dark and kind of got quiet for a while, but now it's just
it's rising. It's
oozing out of every place that it can.
Well, it's being stoked. It's being stoked by Hollywood. For so many years, we were desensitized to blood, gore, all of this. Then you got the video games that really train you how to do things like school shootings and stuff like that. Then you have things like this. It's on the same day that it was reported what just happened to the governor of Pennsylvania. The FBI is saying that a Wisconsin teen literally unalived his parents in an extreme.
I watch a YouTube channel that shows interviews with murderers and that. And I watched one this morning. There's a girl, she's about 25. She's arrested and charged with murder for so we're trying to afford again.
Famous plot to fund the assassination of President Trump. This is this young man here. And the story goes on. I heard the story today
He
on the
can't
radio.
be more than 18 years old. What do you think? He's 16,
He's
17?
17.
17.
A 17-year.
Oh, that's what I was talking about with that red crime thing, the interviews I watched. She unalived someone for a couple of scratchy tickets, literally done that to someone over $20 worth of scratchy tickets. I couldn't believe it.
Wisconsin teen allegedly killed his parents in pursuit of financial means and autonomy to assassinate President Trump.
Can somebody please unpack that for me?
I'm about to unpack it for you. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not familiar
Yeah,
with this story.
When I first heard the
This-
headline, that's why he did it. I was like, why you gotta kill your parents to raise money? For what's this? This is how insane our world is. Court documents show that the 17-year-old was part of a satanic cult. Listen to this. Openly a part of a satanic cult, which has strong anti-Judaism, anti-Christian, and anti-Western ideology. Investigators also found a manifesto which described a call to assassinate President Trump,
Not
make
my
and
end.
detonate bombs, and carry out other terrorist attacks. CNN noted the charges against the 17-year-old include 2 counts of first-degree murder and 2 counts of hiding a corpse. He also faces federal charges tied to the planned assassination. In one entry in the manifesto, the 17-year-old addressed his plans for Trump, writing as to why, specifically Trump. I think it's pretty obvious. By getting rid of the president and perhaps the vice president, that is guaranteed to bring in some chaos. The 17-year-old allegedly, I hate to keep using this word,
Right.
killed his mother and stepfather inside their home in February. The 2 victims were shot to death. Now, to unpack it, this is literally the thinking of this kid that's a part of this satanic cult. He did this to his parents to allegedly get the insurance money that would fund his trip to find Donald Trump and finish his plan. So his literal plan was, I'm going to do this. I'm going to hide the bodies. They're going to declare mom and dad dead. I'm going to get the insurance money because I am the beneficiary. And I'm going to use that to fund my plan to build bombs, go find Donald Trump and JD Vance, and create chaos in this world.
Yeah, I can't believe that people do life insurance and actually take them out to collect the life insurance. I couldn't imagine doing that, because imagine all the money, then you hit 60 and you're broke again. You still got to answer God for a murder.
He was expecting an insurance payout on the fact that they just never showed up again.
I guess that they'll be declared.
Hey, Shawnee, did you see that?
He was demonically possessed.
It's sure and uninformed, because there's a pretty long waiting period
Yeah.
for that to
Yeah.
usually happen. And where did the Satanists come in?
Where did the Satanists come in?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you mean, where did it come in?
He's involved in Satanism.
Yes.
So is our protection. Sophos offers a tailored approach to fit your cybersecurity needs. This charts the course, and Sophos clears the path to your success. That's a win-win. That's Sophos.
Ever found your perfect match?
Come on, ads.
Now you can. Sooner or later, gotta hurt you.
Man.
Beautiful modern surveys.
Yeah. Look, it says he was a part of a satanic cult. He was openly a part of.
I was never here. I don't know how that works. I don't know if they've been thrown to earth or not yet. Apparently they come down in a big meteor shower, and that hasn't happened yet. So, good question, though.
A satanic cult. So obviously, being a part of a satanic cult, he's invited demons into him.
Sure.
This is a breaking news, mainstream news example of demonic
I
possession.
thought you were going to say they were pushing him to do this to get some of this money to just help him with his evil plan. But my
No.
goodness,
No. No.
You're 17 years old and
Right.
you already have enough hatred in you
Yeah.
to unalive the top two leaders.
Your parents.
Your parents.
Your parents.
You've taken care of them, and you have a plan to go get rid of the top
wait
two
a minute,
leaders
babe.
in this country.
Let me ask a
Yeah, it
question.
is.
Where do you think he got the motivation to unalive the top two?
Shawnee, every day I wake up and something more has happened that brings us closer to tribulation. Every single day something happens. Even if it's Diane's links with the huge earthquakes everywhere. Every day it ramps up just that little bit more.
Powerful men in the world. It's because the mainstream media and that side of the aisle is constantly, and they're showing polls on CNN and even Fox News that the majority of Democrats and left, I should say, the majority on the left in these polls say, openly admitting it's like 58%, some 56 or 58% say that it would be appropriate for someone to do that to President Trump. It would be the best thing for the country. The majority in these polls, I've seen the polls with my own eyes. This is not conspiracy. So we have a huge block, which would mean millions of people in this country that actually think that this is, in fact, I call it this, and I'm going to get flagged left and right. This is an assassination culture. We've never known this kind of culture in all of our existence.
No.
They get mad at the healthcare system. The guy stalks the CEO and unalives him. You know, you've got all these people that are cheering for Hamas at the colleges, training these kids for terrorists. There is this idea.
They were doing that here too at the universities. From the river to the sea, Palestine won't be free. Whatever it is.
Don't like somebody, just go take them out. And it's a legitimate thing. And then you have millions of people shouting your praises and picketing in the street for nothing to happen to you.
You know, I think that's my point. There are millions who have been influenced and mind trained, whatever you want to say, to protest, to make comments. But this 17-year-old young man actually put his plan in action.
Yes, he did.
That's what is so upsetting to me.
Very alarming.
You're 17. You're still a baby.
You're a baby, yeah.
But you somehow
want to kill someone?
Get enough hatred and determination in you to actually do these things.
Yeah. Wow. Well, there's such a spirit of hatred in it.
What about the kids' school shooters? They're even worse.
The country right now. I mean, it's not just dividing on races and political ideologies. There is a spirit of hatred. There is a spirit of murder. Boy, I tell you what, I didn't see this program going this far.
No,
this angle.
what happened?
This
the
fast.
train is off the tracks.
It's off the tracks, man. But I'm going to tell you something. When 50 years of Roe v. Wade and it got overturned, that spirit that had a hold on this country had to find a new thing. And if you go back and look at it, you will probably see the pattern of violence and escalation and what we're talking about around the time it went to another level when that was overturned, because the enemy was not going to release that spirit of murder over this country that easy. So it went from one thing to another.
My goodness.
All right. Speaking of violence, they continue to burn down Tesla dealerships and damage individual people's Teslas. This is insane. This is stupid. Albuquerque man has now been charged with a federal crime, according to arson attacks on a Tesla dealership and the Republican Party of New Mexico office. Federal charges. This is important now because this is.
They should get 20 years for that, just like they done with the Proud Boys on January the 6th that time. They weren't pulling a coup. They were just protesting loudly.
Never happened before. Watch this. Federal charges have been filed against Jamison Wagner, 40, an Albuquerque resident, in connection with a recent arson attack targeting the Tesla Albuquerque showroom and the Republican Party of New Mexico headquarters. Investigators linked Wagner to both incidents through surveillance footage and scene evidence. This is Pam Bondi, Attorney General. Let this be the final lesson to those taking part in this ongoing wave of political violence. We will arrest you. We will prosecute you. and we will not negotiate. Crimes have consequences. He hurled firebomb. It goes on to Deputy Attorney Todd Blanche said, hurling firebombs is not political protest. It is a dangerous felony that we will prosecute to the maximum extent. The impressive work by law.
Man, it's such a turnaround from Black Lives Matter being allowed to run amok. Such a turnaround.
Enforcement. He goes on to just really rebuke them. But here's what I want to say: is that if you are charged with federal terrorism charges, that is a minimum. Listen, 40 years without any chance of parole. 40 years. So what they're saying is they're beginning to arrest people who think it's this cute little pushback thing to do to burn up a Tesla or firebomb a Tesla dealership because they don't like Elon Musk and Donald Trump. If they get arrested and they get convicted on that federal crime, they're going to jail and they're not getting out, y'all, for 40 years. And these people, they're going to cry like a baby when this happens. They don't think nothing's ever going to happen.
Guys, I found a lefty channel where they're full on lunatics, and I go in and give them heaps. I do that on Facebook. It's one of the new trolling guys I found. They're dead set lunatics. They just make stats up. They just, oh man, I've never seen nothing like it.
Because we just come out of 4 years of being able to burn down entire cities and nothing happened to them.
Yep.
And they think that we're still in that same world. We're not in that same world.
Or flash mob a store, and you know, as long as you don't go over $999 worth of merchandise stolen, you're good. They're not going to do anything to you.
Do you remember when all that was going on and we ran the story where they had the ATM machine in there saying, if you're having trouble and that's why you're robbing us, take some money in here, take this card for some counsel. I mean, there were stores in California that put ATM.
Where were they? You didn't tell Diane about them.
Machines in there to give people money to help keep them take a few dollars here and don't steal.
You know what?
This is stupid.
Just go down to the border and claim you need exile, and they'll give you everything. Well, not now.
Not now.
But earlier.
Our border's closed, baby.
Earlier. But what you were saying, what we're talking about, the 17-year-old, you know, and people in general, just so emboldened to, if they don't like you, they don't like a situation, to lash out, to try to hurt someone else. I mean, this is crazy. This is not a person. This is people who have been watching television and social media and consuming all of this. And, you know, they think they have a right to go out and take your Tesla out. And wow, it's just, I can't imagine getting so full of an idea or some hatred towards a person or these cars and going and actually doing something that's just over the top.
I can't either.
I mean, peaceful protest is out the door. No. We are going to the Molotov cocktail, and that's going to be our way.
All right. So this is some other stuff that's happened this week. This actually happened today. This was the president of El Salvador. Now, I have got several videos to show you tonight. You're going to see the difference in the color. It's going to be a little wavy and all that. I'm doing that because I'm trying my best not to get flagged tonight.
Exactly.
So that's why it looks a little weird. It's slightly sped up. But this is really interesting here. El Salvador president says he is not shipping the alleged MS-13 gang member back to the United States, even though the Supreme Court has told him that he's supposed to do that. And Donald Trump, he was asked by several reporters, and he just turned over and said, "Why don't you ask him?" So this is the response of the president of the country that is, we're talking about not just Nicaraguans that are in his jail. This is an El Salvador citizen that is a member of this crime. And they ask him, are you going to send him back? Listen to what he says. Well, come on. Are you kidding me? Why ain't they playing?
No.
Why does this always happen to me? Live. Okay. All right. Y'all just talk for a minute, just like while I get this figured out.
Well,
did you see that?
No, I did not see this. I had seen an article about it, and I thought, wow, he really said that? I can't imagine the reporters that were in that room what they must have been thinking when all this was happening.
Here we go. All right.
What'd he
Sorry
say?
about that. Sorry, I didn't mean to
No
interrupt you. You're
problem.
talking.
We need to watch this.
Okay.
We can get a deposit of up to 30% of your home cost from your super and cap interest rates at 3%. Then we'll solve the housing.
Here we go. Watch this right here.
Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, yeah, I mean, both of them suggested that I smuggle terrorists into the United States, right? They totally how can I return him to the United States? Like, if I smuggle him into the United States, or whether I'm forced, I'm not going to do it. Because, like, I mean, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I have to return him to the United
True.
States.
Of course, I'm not
Yeah, but I'm not releasing. I mean, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. I mean, we just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country of the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world?
What El Salvador done when they got a new president or prime minister, whatever they get? He was, I'm pretty sure this is the right country. His whole cabinet were Christians, and they prayed about ending the gangs. So they sent the coppers out on the gangs, and they thought it'd be a bloodbath because the gangs would fight back. But there was not one killing, and they completely cleaned up the streets and whacked them in some hardcore jails. So I'm pretty sure that was El Salvador. If it is, that's why they're getting all this good stuff.
But that's not going to happen.
Wow.
Well, they'd love to have a criminal,
Yeah, I mean, there's a
They don't
person
understand it's common
Yeah.
sense.
these are sick people.
Y'all, I'm telling you, this was video.
That was funny. Trump's gonna play it again.
into the United States.
Of course, I'm not
Yeah, but I'm not releasing. I mean, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. I mean, we just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country of the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world. But that's not going to happen.
Wow.
Well, they'd love to have a criminal.
Yeah, I mean, there's a
They don't
person
understand it's common sense.
Yeah.
These are sick people.
He says it so matter of fact, points at them, they're just sick people. It's true, they are. I love how he calls it.
Y'all, I'm telling you, this was video gold today.
That was gold.
Number one, DOJ said a federal court cannot compel the executive branch to engage in.
I got all kinds of issues.
You got all kinds of
Why is
issues.
it all?
Oh, their trucks are uglier, are they?
Okay.
This is good TV right here.
All right, so but let me go back to this right here. So if you watched any of that, I watched a little bit of it today. What's the girl's name that's always looks mad from CNN that can't stand him? She's from Alabama. Caitlin. What is her name? You would know her if you saw her. Black hair.
Oh yes.
So
The dark
she was
looking
ready to ask a
one.
question. Let me tell you this, y'all. This was a master class today in how you handle someone that's trying to trap you.
Mhm.
She tries to go there. She's the one that started the questions all about this person, and he made her stand there while JD Vance, Pam Bondi, while Stephen, what's his name? That's the one that's so good. I can't think of his name. He's like the right hand guy, bald guy. Oh man, can't think of his name right now.
Mhm.
They'll know it in the live chat. He's so phenomenal. He'll just butcher you on that. Him. Then the El Salvador president. She kept trying to say something, and he was saying, wait, why don't you say something? He went down the whole cabinet and let the whole cabinet rake her over the coals until finally she just gave up. Because it was a beautiful thing to see, because she kept saying, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but
And Diane every day gives a link where they're going to release another thing that needs a jab. So you do that as well. You keep us up to date on all that as well.
what are you going to release?
Thank you for being so good with your links.
But are you going to release them? Until finally the El Salvador president goes, you're asking me to smuggle
Mhm.
an illegal gang member, murderer, back into your country. Are you asking me to smuggle an illegal?
Let me get this straight.
Yeah, that's what he's like. Are you asking me to smuggle in a murderer into your country?
Beautiful.
And then she goes, "Well, are you going to release him in your country?" And he goes, "Look, we just went from the murder capital of the world to we've put them all in prison, shut it all down, and I've made it the safest country in the Western Hemisphere. And you're asking me to release him back in my country? He's not going anywhere." They did. Stephen Miller, thank you. I knew you were saying that. Stephen Miller he's unbelievable, y'all. Y'all don't want to mess with Stephen Miller. I'm telling you, that was incredible. But oh, by the way, we're gonna break that down tonight about the aliens that CIA documents are now released. But I don't even remember how long ago it was.
I don't think we watched these guys before, but I'm liking it.
50s, 60s, something, 60s, I think. Might have even been the 70s.
I thought it was 30 years ago.
Okay, 30 years ago.
But we'll get to that.
And y'all, they tried to fight them aliens, and the aliens just pulled a Sodom and Gomorrah. Lot turned around. Lot's wife turned around, and turned to pillar of salt. They got weapons that turned you into pillar of stone.
That's right.
And turned them into stone, y'all. That's crazy. Allegedly.
Wow. You fire on us, you see what's going to happen to you.
Yeah, allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly. We're just saying this is just alleged. Trump administration now, we went from complete panic to now there's over 130 countries are in active negotiation on the tariffs.
Man,
y'all, this is
so
crazy.
ugly.
Let me do something real quick so we don't get blinded here. All right, here we go. So the National Economic Council director, Kevin Hassett, said Sunday on CNN State of the Union that the Trump...
Shawnee, that's such an ugly car. Why would you design a car like that? That's so ugly.
Administration was negotiating trade policy with 130 countries.
Oh, he's got a truck, has he?
Corner him. What do you say to the small business owner? In fact, let's watch.
This matters. Okay, let's talk about the overall investment environment. 9 days ago, President Trump announced to the whole world that those were the rules for doing business in America going forward. The tariffs were here to stay. His policies were not going to change. I'm just quoting him from his Truth Social messages. And then, of course, on Wednesday, he issued this 90-day pause.
His trucks looked okay, Shawnee. It was that stupid-looking car.
On most of the tariffs, and in his own words, it's because the bond markets were getting queasy and yippy. So here's what one small business owner told CNN about the impact that this whiplash is having on her.
Oh, yeah.
A pause is better than no pause, but the uncertainty is still really chaotic for a small business like me. And now, even if I move out of China, how am I going to be certain that if I place an order today, I won't find a new tariff tomorrow? This up and down is just something as a small business I can't pivot to.
So that's Sarah Wells from Sarah Wells Bags.
You shouldn't have your factories in China then, should you? Should have kept it back in America and give everyone work.
Well, what do you
This
say
guy's
to small
good, too.
business
This
owners,
guy's
or
good.
even big business owners, who say they're having difficulty making long-term business decisions because the country seems right now to be run by capricious whim?
Oh, I don't think it at all is run by capricious whim. The way that I would think about it is that in the previous administration, you can sort of say, if you're thinking about it in the football analogy,
Does anyone know what capricious means? I've got an idea, but I don't really know. Capricious. He said that.
is that they were running out the clock. And that what's going on now in the Trump administration is across a wide array of policy areas. We're in the 2-minute offense. And the 2-minute offense is pushing, as you've seen, the reconciliation bill through so that we get tax relief for American people, deregulation, and of course, trade policy. Now, in the trade policy, the whole point of the trade policy is to address the national emergency that we're too dependent on foreign products in the U.S., especially if we were at a time of conflict, and we're doing something about that. And the Reciprocal Act was basically, guys, if you come to the table and negotiate with us and treat us the same way we treat you, then we'll get your rate really low. And so right now, 130 countries have responded, and we're negotiating with them, and they've got their rate down to 10%. And so really, it's kind of almost a two-world system. There's a process about China, and that's very, very nascent, if at all, and then the process for everybody else. So the process for everybody else is orderly, it's clear, people are coming to town with great offers. We've got Japan, Korea, India. I was just talking to the foreign minister of India, and everything is moving forward very quickly. And so I guess the bottom line is that the small business owner has experienced over the last few weeks the start of a process that's settling down really quite quickly. Again,
so 130 countries.
Right.
That's crazy. that would have never, I mean, never come to the table if it were not Donald Trump
Probably right.
doing the tariffs that he did. And so y'all, it's just, you know, stock market plummets, stock market goes up. You know, I don't think anybody really knows what's going to happen.
No.
I mean, there is definitely uncertainty. There's no doubt about it. There's definitely uncertainty.
There's a lot of prognosticators that they haven't accurately predicted.
I watched something last night, and gold is $5,000 an ounce now. I remember it was $1,100 an ounce, but now it's $5,000 an ounce. And silver, you can still get in the ground floor on silver. The gold truck's taken off, I reckon.
Boost.
$5,000 an ounce.
That's happened.
No. And so, but let's just go back to the fact, and I think everybody in the live chat would agree, whether you like Donald Trump or not, I think we all know that 130 countries would not be saying, oh, wait a minute, even though we've been doing this for across several administrations, we'd like to talk about changing it.
We'd like to get in line for a phone call or some kind of meeting.
Oh, and by the way, they're not just calling, they're coming. I mean, they're flying here. Japan, Thailand, France, Italy, they're all flying here to sit across the table.
Good.
I mean, that's very, very serious.
Yeah.
Okay.
They know who means business.
They know it means business. And on top of everything else, y'all, and by the way, we're almost there. We're getting close to the story about the aliens. Don't go anywhere if you came here to see that. But you need to know what's going on.
You came here to see that.
United States is now saying they will make a decision on Iran very quickly. Trump says after talks. Trump, who has threatened military action if no deal is reached on halting Iran's nuclear program, told reporters aboard Air Force One that he met with advisors on Iran and
look at that hairdo on Trump. It goes in 7 different directions, so he can cover up his bald spots.
Expected a quick decision. U.S. President Trump said on Sunday that he expected to make a decision on Iran quickly. He said that after both parties held positive and constructive talks in Oman on Saturday and agreed to reconvene next week. Trump, who has threatened military action if no deal is reached on halting Iran's nuclear program, said will make a quick decision. And so it was on Air Force One, and guess what? His granddaughter was right beside him. And
Shawnee, that sounds like the Russian bear attacking America.
So she's now into politics. She's a really good athlete and all this, and she was traveling with her granddad. And he looks over and he goes, "Hey, do you want to be a part of this fake news mess?" And she goes, "Yeah, I think I want to do it." And he goes, "Okay, stand right here. Here we go." And then he did his Air Force One press conference with his granddaughter.
She the same one that spoke at the convention?
Yeah. It's the same one. She's becoming a big time star. But what he was saying is, look, we covered here on the channel that we've moved 2 of the biggest aircraft carriers that we have right outside of Iran. We, in addition to all these others, and what's that little island, Garcia?
Oh yeah, we talked about it last week.
We got to start remembering these names.
Yeah.
We talk about stuff and then we forget what we're talking about. What is it called? Live chat once again is going to help us.
Helps out.
I want to say Ando Garcia.
No. Diego Garcia.
Yeah, which is just a little tiny island that, supposedly they were saying for years and years and years we've had a base there. Nobody would admit to it.
That's true.
Chief, there's really nothing like sheer luck. And for the rest of the time, there's Budget Direct.
Insurance sold with Budget Direct.
What really matters to you? Aussie house prices or the latest from the White House? All the footy action on the...
Ears still blocked? Ear Clear helps move wax out of the ear naturally.
Very strategic place.
But speaking of the tariffs, look, we've already covered car companies coming here, different kinds of things. Look at this, the largest AI chip manufacturer in the world that is funding most all AI, including ChatGPT, NVIDIA, who's made everything overseas, this just today announced that they were going to invest $500 billion to build AI chips and supercomputers.
Wow, that's pretty impressive, guys. 500 billion. That's impressive.
Computers for AI in Texas.
Wow.
Now, as far as the beast system, as far as our eventual demise as a human race, that's probably not good for us. But for the economy, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
So that's the interesting thing. This guy right here, this guy, you know, he is. I don't know anything about him. I know he's the CEO of NVIDIA. He's one of the richest men in the world. But he just seems to be, him and Elon seems to be the two guys that are on the forefront of taking us up into a place that we can't ever come back from.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're going to build $500 billion in AI production in Texas. Texas is really getting a lot of stuff here. But it says they've already started production of chip plants in Phoenix, Arizona as well. Meanwhile, the company is constructing supercomputer manufacturing plants in partnership with Foxconn in Houston, in Wistron, in Dallas. Mass production at these facilities is expected to ramp up within the next 12 to 15 months. So the tariffs are not only causing people to come to the table to negotiate, but they're causing businesses, as Trump has said, you know, you want to avoid the tariffs, just come here and build a factory here.
Right.
You got zero tariffs.
I know, car manufacturing, and now this $500 billion. That's what?
$500 billion.
It's crazy.
I mean, wasn't that long ago we had $500 billion from ChatGPT and Oracle.
Yes.
Then they got up there and started talking about a vaccine, and we was just like, we're gonna talk about that tonight again too.
That was a weird moment.
That was a weird moment, and y'all, I'm telling you, I don't know what it is. I love Trump, but I don't know what his fascination is with vaccines. He's not big on mandates, but he's big on vaccines. And I'm going to show you tonight. I got a problem with this. What I'm going to tell you tonight, I got a big problem with something that's going down right now. This is another thing that sort of concerns me. You know, how long we've been hearing about this Star ID driver's license? I mean,
3 to 5 years.
I think it's longer than that.
Any longer?
I think it's longer than that because remember they've moved it back like over. I think it started in Obama.
Maybe.
I think it started back in Obama.
Maybe.
It actually started talking about having something like this after 9/11. And so, yeah, so they kept pushing up. Well, here's my question before I show you this article. It's interesting to me. We knew this was coming, but the director of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, come out today and made an urgent statement that there will be no delay. In that if you are a United States citizen, you will have the real ID if you're flying anywhere in America starting next month. And she was just like, I'm sorry, you're not getting on a plane without it. So the question is, they think that she was as stern as she was because of something that intelligence is telling them.
Okay.
That's coming involving airplanes.
Whoa.
So look at this. So she said the DHS Chief Kristi Noem announces all adult U.S. citizens must have the real ID to fly starting May. And there's other forms of identification that you can use as well. But she made a full video on it. It's effective May 7th. I mean, that's not that far away. If you haven't got yours, you know, I'll show you what else you could have. But this is very serious. If you're going to travel by plane, you don't have to have this. You're traveling by car. If you get on a ship, like a cruise ship, or if you get on a plane, you're going to have this. And this is not going to another country. This is anywhere.
Right.
If you're in Birmingham, you fly to Atlanta. You can't fly to Atlanta without this. The enforcement marks the culmination of the Real ID Act, originally
I don't know, Osnevi. I wonder if she was attacked by a bear. I wonder what that represents then. It could be Russia invading.
It was passed in 2005. Following the 9/11 Commission's recommendation to enhance integrity and security of state issue identification documents. On December 17, 2018, President Trump signed the Real ID Act modification for Freely Associated States Act. If you plan on traveling, she said, we need your help to prevent delays and to prove your identity. Get a real ID. Starting May 7th, you will need a real ID to travel by air or to visit federal buildings. Wow, I didn't forgot that part. Yeah. You got to have it to travel by air, or if you visit a federal building in the United States. These IDs keep our country safe because they help prevent fraud and enhance security. Please do your part to protect our country. Go today and don't delay. All right, so let's just be real here.
Yeah.
Okay. This sounds to me a lot like the Patriot Act in card form. I mean, I get it. I get that they're saying that they're trying to weed out illegal aliens and terrorists that have fake IDs, because you can't just get it. You got to provide a few other types of documents before you can get it. But it just seems to me like more control. When you're talking about you can't go in a federal building, it just seems like this is another step in control.
Right. That part about the federal buildings.
Yeah. That was weird. I did not know that.
That's crazy. I wonder how many people will show up at the airport.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be a problem.
You would think.
Grandma's going to forget about it.
Most people have the app for your airline on your phone. You would think they would be blasting constant messages, for people to get that straightened out. But I imagine there will still be some people very unhappy when they realize they're not getting on that plane.
So here's the thing. Your driver's license, depending on what state you're in, is going to have this star at the top right hand. You can see there's one from Missouri, as an example from New York, example from California, all have the star. Now, if you don't have that, then these are other things that TSA will accept. State issued says there are several other forms of identification you can use to fly. State issued enhanced driver's license, which is that. Your U.S. passport or U.S. passport card, and DHS trusted traveler cards, global entry, which, a lot of people don't have that, but that's sort of like the steroid version of PreCheck. U.S. Department of Defense ID, including IDs issued to dependents, permanent resident card, border crossing card. What? What is that? An acceptable photo ID issued by, and it shows you all the different things. So there's a lot of different things.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of things.
That's a lot of different things.
That's a lot of different things there. You can get your U.S. Citizen and Immigration Services Employment Authorization Card.
Wow.
You can use your U.S. Merchant Mariner credential or your Veteran Health Identification Card. So it's not like it's just, you're going to have one of them.
Yeah.
You would think you're going to have something. And that's what they're trying to say is, y'all, you should have known this was coming. We're talking about. Now, like, just full disclosure here, we have our passport. We travel abroad. And if we need it, we got that. And so if you don't want to go get one now, and you have a passport or a passport card, the passport card looks just like a driver's license, but it's a miniature version of your passport. Then if you don't want to go get the card and you got a passport, you're good. Just take your passport to the airport, you're good. But if you don't have a passport and you don't have the star card, and all of a sudden cousin Jimmy is getting married in California, and you want to go see cousin Jimmy's wedding, y'all, you're gonna be driving.
Right.
You ain't gonna be flying. Yeah.
Man, what next?
It's all coming.
What are they gonna require next?
Yeah. Well, y'all, this would be a good time to smash that like button if you haven't already done. Smash it. Show some love. Subscribe.
Yeah.
Come on. We just got a super chat from Julie. Thank you, Julie. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. I gotta fix this over here so you can see. Oh, what? Wow. Julie, what a blessing, man. She said it's almost harvest. I think she deserves to get up on screen. It says it's almost harvest time to our promised land in heaven. Look forward to seeing everyone. Wow, Julie, thank you so much. Appreciate that so much. Thank you. You are a blessing. All right, so let's move on. Let's see. Okay, this is the part that I'm getting a little concerned about. Y'all, why? Why Trump? Why Trump? Trump administration has now fast-tracked the controversial self-amplifying mRNA vaccine for H5N1 bird flu. Have we not seen this movie before? Did we not go through this with the YY?
Well, I want to hear what you're about to say next.
Okay.
Just because they are going to create one,
well, I know
the
what
words that none of us want to hear, are they going to do that?
Yeah, because the key words here in this headline is fact.
There's no way I would ever take another jab, because if it did, it's Russian roulette, literally Russian roulette. I just wouldn't do it. They would have to hold me down and force me to do it. But if they did, I'd know it's a death sentence.
That's tracks.
Right.
Okay.
Well, so the first time around, it was called Warp Speed.
Yeah.
And it was under the same president that we were talking about.
Exactly. Trump. The Trump administration has granted fast track designation to a groundbreaking and controversial, listen to the wording here, this is spooky, self-amplifying mRNA. So we went from mRNA to self-amplifying.
So is that?
What's that mean?
Playfair University used to be free in Australia. Trumpeter Patriots will make it free again.
Drench your thirst with Hydrolite Lightspeed Rehydration every day.
Replicating is a different word. Are we talking about the same thing here?
Well, let's read on.
Okay.
Vaccine candidate targeting the H5N1 avian influenza virus, otherwise known as the bird flu. The vaccine, ARCT-2304, developed by Arcturus Therapeutics, is now in phase 1 trials and has been positioned by federal health authorities as a frontline defense against a potential bird flu pandemic. The designation, announced April 10th, was awarded by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, ding, 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 RFK Jr., in partnership with the Department of Health and Human Services and its Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority. The fast track designation from the FDA expedites the review of drugs intended for serious or life-threatening conditions that demonstrate the potential to address unmet medical needs. This designation aims to get new treatments to patients faster by encouraging more frequent communication between the FDA and the drug developer and allowing for a rolling review of the application. Unlike traditional vaccines, the ARCT-2304 candidate uses, listen to this, a self-replicating mRNA platform.
Wow.
Meaning the genetic material continues reproducing inside the recipient's cells to boost production of flu-fighting proteins. Arcturus claims this results in a stronger immune response to smaller doses. Quote, "We are pleased to receive fast-track designation from the FDA," the president said. "We remain steadfast in our commitment to the U.S. government to develop safe and effective next generation mRNA vaccines to protect U.S. citizens for future pandemic threats. This designation from the FDA is an important step forward in our mission to provide protective solutions for global health." The experimental technology, dubbed STAR and powered by Arcturus' proprietary lunar delivery system. What in the world? This is like a written just to be conspiracy.
This is like, yeah, we're doing this and we're gonna just put it in your face.
Put it in your face.
Right in your face and give it cute names like Star and
It's
Lunar.
gonna be Star and Lunar.
How about that? What do y'all think about that?
What do y'all think about that? And that's the delivery system. A cosmic delivery system, named after the cosmic, allows the vaccine to be freeze-dried and stored in refrigerators, avoiding the ultra-cold storage problems that plagued the early WAN rollouts. Federal taxpayers, of course, are footing the bill again. ARCT-2304 is being developed under BARDA contract, highlighting yet another example of the public-private partnership where the pharmaceutical industry reaps profits and the people carry the risk. Under the previous Trump term, as this BARDA has been given sweeping authority to fund and fast-track pandemic-related vaccines and therapeutics. Many people reported the effects from the mRNA C19, the Pfizer and BioNTech, Moderna, leading to widespread complaints. The mRNA vaccines work by, which we won't rehash how they work. So we went from Operation Warp Speed,
right,
getting to us a jab that we know has caused millions of people to have major issues, and have even, let's just say, some of them have left this earth. Many of them have left this earth, and we went through all that we went through. You have to ask the question: did we learn anything? It sounds like we just went on steroids. We just went on steroids. We openly calling this proudly a self-replicating in your bloodstream.
Right.
Over and over again, completely replicates it. They're telling you this time. Last time that's what was happening, but they didn't tell you that.
No, they didn't tell you that.
This time they just went in and told you that.
So this is my thought. Okay, they're fast tracking, so which means they've probably have, what do you think, several 100,000 million doses of
Of
this
course,
somewhere.
already.
But what are the people doing? If they're like us and everybody watching this show tonight, they're probably like, hold on,
I was never here. There was an island somewhere near Thailand that no white man's ever stepped on and lived. And a missionary went to his island, went to the island, and they murdered him. And he was bringing the gospel to them. And these are the most remote people on earth. So God does reach them by the sounds of it. Yeah, he got killed for taking a Bible into this island where you're not allowed to go.
No.
Yeah, what y'all think
So
about?
what's going to happen? Because you probably have conservative and liberal people who are like, no, not doing that again.
Mm-hmm.
Not doing it. So what's going to happen?
What's going to happen?
What? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big question. What's going to happen? But y'all, it's like they don't, that world still thinks that they run everything.
Yes.
And they're like, you know what? I hear you. Have your little shows. Talk about it online.
Come on, tell us about the aliens turning soldiers into stone.
Make this agreeable.
Yeah, go ahead.
Get out there and blog about it.
But guess what? It's still coming. And you can't stop it. That's what they think.
So
I'm asking Donald Trump, what's up, Trump?
What's
up, RFK?
This article, for whatever reason, didn't use the word mandate.
No.
But
they didn't at the beginning the last time either.
Yeah, but they're just like, hey, this is a foregone conclusion. So crank up that factory because this is happening.
I didn't tell much of They'll put me in jail. They ain't shutting down the house of God again.
Wow.
And I'm gonna tell you, I want to know in the live chat what y'all think about this.
Yeah.
Because we voted. We proudly say that. We don't agree with everything, but we do like a lot of the things that he's doing. I'm gonna show you some things that he's doing. I've already showed you something about the last thing I'm gonna show you tonight is amazing that he's doing. That I've never seen a president do ever. Yeah. But y'all, I'm very questionable about this because you have this on top of the night that everybody's so excited about this big AI investment.
Right.
And then he says, "Come on up here." What's the guy's name from Oracle? Larry. Come on up here, Larry. Tell us what your plans are with what you're doing there. Well, we're gonna develop an AI vaccine that the AI is going to use your DNA and determine whatever level of cancer you have. We're going to administer a personal vaccine for your bloodstream that will attack your personal cancer. And all of us are like,
yeah.
What? Yeah. What just happened? Time out.
I think Trump wanted maybe like a little sprinkler response, and he got a fire hose.
Yeah.
What was it? Project Stargate? What did they call that?
Stargate. Look, called Stargate. Yeah. Oh. And what is this called?
They're using Star and Lunar in it.
So you got the AI investment called Stargate. You got a self-replicating mRNA vaccine being distributed with a system called Star and Lunar.
I know.
What?
It's almost like there's a system above our heads up there, like in space, and there's something in our body that they're going to use electronics and computers and stuff to influence us or maybe possibly control us. I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe. You might be onto something there. I think you are.
Skynet.
Y'all, this show is already crazy and it ain't even started crazy yet. The crazy's still coming.
What?
The crazy's still coming. Y'all, this is going to be one for the ages. As crazy as it's already been, it's just now getting crazy in the news article. Y'all better not go anywhere because it's y'all about to see some stuff here.
Okay, Jimmy gonna show out tonight.
We got a super sticker from Vic. Thank you, Vic.
Oh,
appreciate
thanks, Vic.
Appreciate
you guys are awesome.
You are awesome. Now, have you heard about this thing that's happening? Supposedly, the left is freaking out about Donald Trump's going to issue martial law on April 20th. Have you heard about that?
Yes, I was telling you about that 2 days ago.
Okay. So let's think about what April 20th is. It's a pretty big day. Okay.
Right.
So they keep talking about April 20th. By the way, April 20th is a Sunday. You know how I know it's a Sunday?
I was never here. I saw a YouTube on what happened to that Rockefeller guy. The natives killed him and cooked him and ate him. And why they were mad at him, They had some sort of thing they set up for their ancestors, some sort of cultural thing, and he offered to buy one of them. And the islanders, they'd never seen money, so they took offence and ended up doing ended up eating him.
It's Easter. It's Resurrection Day.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know that. But it's also the day that the pot smoking joint people love.
Is that the day that Columbine?
Well, he did disappear. I was never here, never to be heard from again.
Happened? Or is that the
I
day?
think it might, there's several school shootings have happened on 420.
Is that Hitler's
420,
birthday?
Hitler's birthday.
Yeah.
And it's the time, where all the pot smokers, they all love 420. Okay.
Right.
And you got that crazy no pastor that's that's going viral now about, making fun of, it's acting like you're smoking weed and all this kind.
Yeah, he met the tribe. He took photos with the tribe when he first met them. And then when he left the island, something went wrong with the boat and the skipper of the boat, and it's only a canoe. He made it back to one part of the island, but Rockefeller ended up in the bad part. And I don't know if it's true or not, but what I've seen, it made a lot of sense.
That's stuff get you come to church. That's another video coming, y'all. Y'all be looking for that. I'm gonna make a reaction video to that. But you remember the thing when Trump was president that the left went crazy. They thought this thing was called Q. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. QAnon.
QAnon. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So QAnon and all this, somebody was really running. Well, guess what? There's something called.
The baby bunting sale is on now.
With Sophos, your future stays protected. Our technology silences cyber threats, and our experts stop attacks cold. We keep it quiet, so you can keep it booming. That's a win-win. That's Sophos.
There's only one Australian flag that represents Australia and all Australians. We don't need to be welcome into our own country. Vote 1, Trumpet of Patriots.
Blue Anon.
What?
Blue Anon, which is, of course, a Democrat
And this has
version.
been going on?
This is what they're saying is actually feeding disinformation. Okay. So they're calling it Blue Anon. Blue Anon what is that? Democrats are in full panic mode over absurd conspiracy that is going around in that circle that Trump is going to declare martial law on April 20th. Let's just let this sink in. Let's leave the headline right there and let this sink in. First of all, he could declare martial law. Any president can declare martial law. But why would you think he would declare martial law on Easter?
Right.
Okay, that's just insane.
I mean, there would have to be some very serious reason. I mean, we have a lot of things going on, but what very serious thing is turning that would require that action?
Let's look at it. The left is melting down once again, and this time it's over a 10-fold half-level conspiracy theory that President Trump is preparing to declare martial law on April 20th. The same people who spent years mocking QAnon are now pushing a full-blown Blue Anon fantasy of their own. The source of this hysteria, none other than James Carville.
Oh my goodness.
Our raging Cajun,
wow,
left liberal.
Let me just insert something right here.
Yeah.
I loved watching him in the Clinton era.
I did too.
He was just so
Never agreed with him, but it was entertaining.
No, entertaining.
Yeah.
He is like an angry grandpa.
God, he is.
Get off my lawn. Right? Yeah. I mean, there's no entertainment quality. And I'm like, dude, change your shirt. Stop being so bad.
He does wear the same shirt. No matter what day it is. Weeks later, he's got the same LSU shirt on. James Carville, the aging Democratic strategist who apparently is desperate to stay relevant. On a recent episode of Politics War Room, Carville was asked whether Trump was trying to provoke enough unrest to declare martial law and suspend the 2026 elections.
Wow.
Quote, "You're so correct to be concerned about this. It's getting worse by the day. It's not going to stop getting worse. And we ought to be on high alert."
We got another super sticker. Thank you, Rosie.
Thank you, Rosie, so much. The left's panic stems from I can't hardly see it. Stern, stems. I need bigger letters. I need new context. From delivered misreading of Trump's January 20th executive order, which declared a national emergency at the southern border and directed the Departments of Defense and Homeland Security to submit a report by April 20th. So this is where the date comes in. The report will assess the border crisis created by years of Democrat open border policies and recommend whether to invoke the Insurrection Act of 1807 for enforcement. Nowhere does it mention martial law, but that hasn't stopped the blue and brown crowd from spinning dystopian fantasy. The executive order reads, within 90 days of the date of this proclamation, the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of Homeland Security shall submit a joint report to the President about the conditions of the southern border of the United States and any recommendations regarding additional actions may be necessary to obtain complete operational control of the southern border, including whether to invoke the Insurrection Act of 1807. The Insurrection of 1807 is not martial law. They are distinct legal concepts in the United States, each with different implications for the use of military force and the role of civilian government. The Insurrection Act is a federal law that grants the president authority to deploy U.S. military forces domestically under specific circumstances. It serves as an exception to the Posse, I can't ever say that, Comitas Act, which generally prohibits federal troops from engaging in civilian law enforcement. The left's mass delusion began gaining traction after Trump gave an interview to NBC News on March 30th, where he said that there were methods by which a third term would be considered. He says to NBC, a lot of people want me to do it. A lot of people want me to do it. But I mean, basically, tell them we got a long way to go. But you know, it's very early in the administration. I'm not joking. I don't sound like Trump. I'm not joking. Trump said when asked about it, but I'm not. It's not too early to start thinking about it. So, y'all, he's messing with you. Some people believe he's not messing, but he's messing. He's not going to run a third term. I may be wrong. He's not going to try to run a third term.
I would not dig my heels in on that just yet.
You know, it wouldn't shock me because he'll do anything. But I'm just saying that's what they're freaking out about. They're putting it all together. They think he's going to declare martial law, change the Constitution, and declare himself as the permanent king of the world. But number one, can you imagine all the pot smokers on 420 waking up that day thinking that martial law's coming and they hate Trump? They're going to be like, hey, dude, martial law's coming, so we might as well just get some Doritos. and we just need to munch out because it's over today.
We didn't hit the border.
Okay, he's speaking from experience.
The munchies. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. All right. So one more article, and then we're going to bring in the thing about the aliens.
Is Uncle Jimmy having a banner night tonight?
Uncle Jimmy's having a banner night tonight. I said one more, but I'm going to do two, and I'm going to rapid fire them because I think this is news here.
If you need to go to the bathroom or make a snack run, do it now. You don't want to miss Uncle Jimmy.
You don't miss Uncle Jimmy. Y'all, Panama City has declared today spring break is never coming back. Did you hear that? They said they can't do it no more.
This I have not heard. Okay, what?
Yep,
whoa.
Yep, because what we're talking about, the escalation of violence. These young people literally have no sense of value of life and self-control. It really don't. Self-control is really so this is the words of, I believe it's the sheriff there in that town. He says, idiots, go somewhere else. Panama City Beach cracks down on spring break thugs. The Panama City Police Department has a message for the spring break thugs who cause mayhem in their community. You are no longer welcome. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but watch this. He says to the doctors, nurses, engineers, teachers, and leaders who came here for a break, you're appreciated. You made memories, enjoyed the beach, and showed respect. Most of you went home without problems, and that's exactly how it should be. Then the chief tore into the gang of thugs that broke the law. If you came with guns, and many of them did, I saw videos of hundreds of people walking around with guns and weapons on the beach. Guns, bad intentions, and no respect for the city. We saw you. You thought you would blend in and get away with it. You were wrong, and officers were ready. goes on to say Panama City Beach can no longer be a spring break town. And when I read that, I just went, wow.
I mean, that's
What a
just
statement.
inconceivable.
What a statement.
All the money that even the young people bring
Yeah.
during that time, for you to say,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
we're either losing money somehow, or we cannot risk the threat of losing lives.
Loss.
And
That's what it's
wow,
about.
that
Yeah.
I just cannot even hardly believe that.
And the people of Panama City are rejoicing. That's what they're saying. It says Panama, and I see several people in there saying they're so happy about this too. Panama City Beach can no longer be a spring break town. That time is over. Every year we try to manage it, and every year it brings more challenges. I'm not willing to risk the safety of our city to hold on to something that no longer works. To the good visitors, you're always welcome. To the idiots, go somewhere else. And yeah. So basically, the article goes on to talk about violence that happened all over the place, happened every year. And they're just saying, you know what? And the article goes on to say, we're meeting with city officials this week to discuss how we're going to do this. This is a big deal for us. We hate that it's come to this, but we are a city that we don't just exist 1 month out of the year. We're a city. We have families here.
Yes.
People enjoy coming here for families. And we've lost that. Many people are leaving, going to other cities. They've left Panama City years ago. And quite frankly, some of them have tried it with Gulf Shores. They've tried it certainly with Daytona. It's where it used to be. It's always been drinking. It's always been sex. It's always been craziness. It's always been wild teenagers.
Yes.
We're not, that's always been the case.
Of course.
But what's different now is violence and guns and killing people and robbing people. Beating people and filming to go viral.
The crime in general, I mean, not only are there so many people, but there are people that want to just drive crazy and have all this expedition type things with cars. I mean, it's just everything.
So dangerous.
And there's people who live there. They probably dread that time of the year because of the traffic and everything.
Well, all the comments from the people that live there are just like, yes, 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 this is amazing. I'm so thankful.
I hate it's come to this.
Here's another crazy thing today. Katy Perry and a bunch of other women just went up space for about 11 minutes.
I have been waiting for this story.
In fact, I think this might even be the introduction to the agenda. Let's go ahead. Go. Here it comes.
It's going to be one for the And I see that you still haven't gotten rid of that picture.
I'm never getting rid of that picture. That's a great picture of you.
I look crazy.
Well, it's the supernatural AI update. We both look crazy. It's supposed to be that.
You look the same every time.
I'm like,
There's
I don't
always
look like that all the time.
There's always some kind of version of you doing that, but whatever.
Okay.
Not gonna fight over this.
Let's don't fight over it. Katy Perry kisses the ground after Blue Origin capsule touches down after 11 minutes in space. What a warm, fuzzy story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's listen to this woman who used to be a Christian
I'm
singer.
just gonna go ahead and put this out there. She looked like she was.
I think it's been a while since Katy Perry had a hit, like 4 or 5 years.
Smoking something the entire time she was
sure
up there.
did.
I mean, she sounds like she was smoking something the entire time she was up there.
I agree.
It is
Here we
the
go.
highest high, and it
The highest
is surrender to the unknown, trust, and this whole journey.
Surrender to the unknown. That's wanker talk. Listen to her.
Is not just about going to space. It's the training. It's the team. It's the whole thing. I couldn't recommend this experience more. This is like up there with all the, different.
Hey, I love that part. I'm gonna go back to it. I love that part. She says, "I couldn't recommend this experience more." In other words, if you have $1 billion and you can just throw away, like me, millions and millions of dollars for 11 minutes of your life, I couldn't recommend this.
Oh, come on. You think she actually paid for this?
Probably not.
Tools that I've learned in my life, from meditation to the Hoffman process. This is up there because what you're doing is you're like really finding the love
Olivia
for
said, "I
yourself
wish
because
she
you
did
got
not
to trust
return."
yourself on this journey, and then you're feeling the love when you come down for sure,
Listen,
and
that's
you're
right.
feeling that strength. So I feel really connected to that strong, divine feminine right now.
There
By
it
the way,
is.
you're such a badass. I love that the month of April, you're like, I'm going to space and I'm launching my tour.
You knew the divine feminine was coming. She went up to space and got in touch with Mother Earth and the divine feminine. God, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. These are the people that are leading our children.
So who else was on that?
Well, Bezos's fiance, Oprah's
girlfriend,
her friend, and I don't know who the other people were. I have no idea, but they're all millionaires. Every one of them was millionaires, all women, self-flying thing. And when it come back, they had the audio on. Y'all, they broadcast it live on the View show.
Wow.
What a
And
surprise.
they went live on the View. I didn't see it, but I heard that they said if they arrive back safely, they're going to do a live on the View. I thought of all places when they came back, and I'm not trying to be sexist or whatever, okay, male chauvinistic, okay. But when they came back, y'all, they had the audio on, and it was nothing but 6 or 7 screaming women, like they were at a bar. They was like, that's all it was.
Is that how you think women sound?
No.
Well, those women probably did. And I think it's perfect because I don't think there's any more useless show on television.
Yeah. By the way, go ahead, and if you're not a partner with us, and we're going to the story on the aliens in just a moment, but right after this. But I was want to remind some of y'all, because you've been asking, how can we be a part? How can we connect? All of that's at LarryRagland.com. You can partner with us there with our new address, by the way. Check it out. It's down in the description as well. All right, so it's time to get in there and to let's talk about these aliens that supposedly from this CIA document dump that's just come out recently, that we have found out that there was supposedly a fight between Russian soldiers and a downed alien craft. The aliens got out, they start shooting at the aliens, and the aliens shot them with some kind of weapon that
Okay, I've never heard this story before.
turned them into stone.
We need to get into the article because did the soldiers not down the craft, and in retaliation,
Okay.
the
all right.
aliens attacked them?
You know more
But
about the
here's
name?
the thing.
Okay, all right. Go ahead.
I thought this story would have been gone by now.
Yeah,
But
it's been
like
around a while.
Gaining
Yes, gaining.
traction.
Yeah.
Because this is, I saw this days and days ago.
Yeah, but what's this? You can find people talking about this on Joe Rogan a year and a half ago.
Okay. So why now?
So what's happened now is before it was just rumors and stories that have been passed out. The reason it's in the news now is because they have released the CIA documents that document the rumor. That's why it's a big story right now. Okay. All right. So let's look at it. Viral CIA document describes lethal confrontation between Soviet troops and aliens after soldiers strike UFO with a missile and crash it. This is actual pictures of the event. I'm just kidding.
That's the funniest thing you said all night.
That is the worst artist rendition of this story. I could have done with ChatGPT so much better than that.
Yeah, they're green in this story.
Yeah,
Not gray.
they're not gray. They're green. I think green is a distraction. But little green men. Those of us who have studied some of the recent doc dumps from the CIA have been wise to the fact that the mere fact that a document is part of a previous classified trove of data does not in any way guarantee said document's relevance or veracity. Case in point, a declassified document posted to the CIA's website is gone viral, generating controversy over its claims of an early 1990s UFO attack on Soviet bases. Fox News reports the viral report summarizes an article published by Canadian weekly World News and the Ukrainian paper Holos Ukraini, and was initially released to the public in May of 2000. The first-hand report describes a retaliatory alien attack after Soviet soldiers reportedly shot down a UFO flying over a military base. The aliens reportedly emerged from the wreckage, fusing together Okay.
There were 5 of them?
I don't know, maybe. But however how many they were, they came out and they're all standing individually. And then this report says they all merged into one.
Yeah.
Okay. The aliens emerged, fusing together into one object and burst into a bright light.
Right.
And burned all but 2 of the soldiers to stone. If the KGB file corresponds to reality, this is an extremely menacing case. An unnamed CIA representative was quoted as saying in the report, the aliens possess such weapons and technology that go beyond our assumption. They can stand up for themselves if attacked. So these are obviously pictures of supposed UFOs. It was estimated that the incident occurred between 1989 and 1990, having been initially published in 93. U.S. intelligence would have obtained reports of a low-flying spaceship in the shape of a saucer over a Soviet unit that was participating in training exercise. This is the actual document that has been released. And just the things that just pop out to me, it says, for unknown reasons, somebody unexpectedly launched a surface-to-air missile and hit the UFO. It fell to the earth not far away, and 5 short humanoids with large heads and large black eyes emerged from it. It is stated that the testimonies by the 2 soldiers who remained alive that after freeing themselves from the debris, the aliens came close together and then merged into a single object that acquired a spherical shape. That object began to buzz and hiss sharply and then became brilliantly white. In a few seconds, the extremely bright light into extremely bright spheres grew bigger and exploded, flaring up with extremely bright light. At that very instant, 23 soldiers who had watched the phenomenon turned into stone poles. Only 2 soldiers who stood in the shade and were less exposed to the luminous explosion survived. The KGB report goes on to say that the remains of the UFO and the petrified soldiers were transferred to a secret scientific research institute near Moscow. Specialists assume that a scourge of energy that is still unknown to Earthlings instantly changed the structure of the soldiers' living organisms, having transformed it into a substance whose molecular composition is no different than that of limestone. A CIA representative stated, if the KGB file corresponds to reality, this is a menacing case and they possess weapons that we can't even comprehend. Now here is a short video.
Scientists try to make sense of a recently declassified report of the deaths of 23 Russian troops. Instantly transformed into pillars of rock during a battle with what was claimed to be alien creatures wielding a deadly weapon.
Supposedly, this energy source took the biology of the person and turned them into a stone.
The whole thing was supposedly witnessed by a couple of soldiers who were hiding behind trees and were thus unaffected by the death rays.
Certainly something that could transmute living flesh into stone.
Guy, can you send that link to Skype, please? It's too much to read here, but it looks pretty good.
That quickly is beyond our experience.
According to the top secret report, the petrified soldiers, as well as the wreckage of the craft that they shot down, were taken to a secret laboratory outside Moscow. Russian scientists determined they had been turned into a substance like limestone. If true, could the Kremlin now possess otherworldly weapon technology?
The Russians would have laid claim to that wreckage.
Good point. I didn't realize they could use it as weapons. I didn't think that far ahead. Wow.
And would have reversed engineered the weapon system.
But some analysts say there may be another explanation.
So the former CIA agent there in that documentary said that he believes that if this is true, that Russia probably now has reverse engineered the ability to turn soldiers into stone. Allegedly.
I mean, why does he think that even though they collected their bodies and studied them, that they can figure out how to do this?
Hey, Sue! Bev, you're sitting on a monster. Literally and figuratively. It's my...
I'm not the one with secrets here.
I can't go on living like this.
I'll tell you the first thing that came to my mind was Tesla and his reported death ray that he was trying to sell to, I don't know which country, before he died. Now, I have no idea what that consisted of.
And where did you get that technology?
What it actually did. Well, I mean, he pretty much.
Okay, what's it called? That blast in Siberia that leveled all the trees. What do they call that? They think it was caused by a meteor, but I've read where it was Tesla doing that. What do they call it? So, all them trees got leveled for miles around.
Said he had
the Tunguska event. That's what I'm thinking of. The Tunguska event.
Yes, you do.
I mean, I know that was said of the Germans said, you know, we didn't do this on our own. We had help figuring some of this stuff out. But that was the first thing that came to my mind was that anything? Was it anything like the reported death rate Tesla had?
It sounded like a death ray to me. I ain't gonna lie to you.
I mean, that is such a fantastical story. It's hard to even believe that, right?
It is hard to believe. I mean, you're talking about, I mean, in all the UFO stories that we've heard and we've covered and we've read and things that we didn't even cover that we've watched and read, never heard of this one.
No.
I'm talking about turning them to stone.
Yes. Yes.
But y'all, we're talking about entities that we believe on this show that are not for us, but are against us and are operating with ancient demonic fallen angel technology.
Yep.
Okay. Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. We're gonna nominate that.
Okay.
Because we're gonna take advice of one of our great viewers, Radio Face, and we're gonna award it at the end.
Okay.
But we're gonna nominate our first nomination. Go ahead and show them. Don't squeeze it, but show them. Our first nomination for the Golden Chicken.
The rustling of feathers.
Yes, yes. The Golden Chicken Award first nomination is the stone making technology of aliens, and that Russians have those stone people in storage with the alien crafts on them. Being studied.
What do you think?
Check this out, guys. Kia Musk manager. And there was another Musk contact me. I think they're Elon Musk. I'm just going to play them for a bit of fun.
Hey, think about this. On 420, they're stoned. What if the stone figures came out on 420? I know that would.
What were those soldiers thinking, though? If this is true, if
Well, you would have panicked too. You'd have been like, you'd be like,
oh, yes, I was never here. I am a good troller. I am very good at trolling. I only go after the Muslims and the Catholics and the atheists. I don't go after Christians with my trolling.
I got to save my life. Okay.
We gotta shoot this thing down.
All right, moving on. Y'all, this is getting a little weird here. What's going on with brain activity and brain implants? Brain Bluetooth to full RoboCop. Here's where chip implants are heading soon. It's getting bad, y'all. It's getting bad. In the 1987 classic RoboCop, the deceased Detroit cop Alex Murphy is reborn as a cyborg. He has a robotic body and a full brain computer interface that allows him to control his movements with his mind. He can access all.
I recently found this left-leaning post on Facebook, like they're full-on lefties, and they're telling me how Trump done this and done that, and he ripped them all off. They are worse than everyone. The loony lefties, they're worse than the Muslims, they're worse than the Catholics, they're worse than the atheists. They're dead set nuts. They're loony, literally.
Online information such as suspects' faces, use AI to detect threats, and his human memories have been integrated from one of those machines. That's a movie. But developers...
I stir them up, and when I stir them up enough, they're complaining back on me. As soon as I've stirred them too much, everything they say, I put fake news in capital letters under it. So when they ask me a question, I just write fake news.
Are now saying in the latest breakthrough, a research team based in the University of California has unveiled a brain implant that enabled a woman with paralysis to live stream her thoughts via AI into a synthetic voice with just a 3-second delay. This is what they're telling us that they can do.
Yeah.
The concept of an interface between neurons and machines goes back much further than RoboCop, and now it's coming into play. So this is a part of an article. This was linked off of an article saying how we should be extremely concerned about brain chips, because brain chips have gone beyond the Neuralink of Elon Musk. They are next level, absolute craziness, what they're being able to do right now.
Yeah.
They're causing the lame to walk. They're causing the blind to see. They are performing miracles.
Yep.
I read a book one time that said in the last days there would be false miracles.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that if you can't walk, that I'm not happy for you that you can walk now. I'm not being cruel to that. I'm just saying, but we all know where this is headed.
Sure. How far is too far? Does anybody know where the line is?
Exactly.
Do you think that people, these creators, do you think they even care that there's a line or should be a line? No, it's just full steam ahead.
Full steam ahead. All right, let's rapid fire some Supernatural AI update stuff. And by the way, at the end of the program, we're going to make a huge announcement that we wanted to make sure that our Big Picture family heard it before anybody else, before I talk about it anywhere else. We'll talk about it on the big show, the Monday Night Show. But y'all, this right here is just another troubling video here of sites that are happening. You tell me what you think this is. This was in Italy just within the last few weeks.
Is it anywhere near that volcano?
Let's go back where it says right here.
That's not a volcano.
It just says Italy. But this is I don't think it has any sound. This is somebody that just sort of film of this light that just goes in and out. It's not lightning. And then this is another angle. I mean, look at it. It's moving. They're trying to follow it. It disappears. People are seeing things like this all over the world. This is a part of disclosure. This is a part of disclosure. So, yeah. Where'd it go? Let's see. All right. So there's just from another person's apartment.
Wow.
I mean, watch this. This one zooms in. Look, you can see it almost looks like a craft. Looks like eyes. Craft.
Looks like a lozenge.
That was the same night, a different angle.
It looked like a lozenge. There were sort of levels to it.
What is that?
I don't know.
I mean, no, that's just up in the sky. What would you do if you saw that up in the sky? What would you think?
I would just
It's Katy Perry's rocket blowing up.
taking video like that person right there.
You'll be like, Larry!
Hey, y'all get out here.
Oh, we got a little something. So these are different strange objects. This is in Turkey. Look, we're trying to the road. What is this? These are appearing all over. This is Florida. Abnormal glows in the sky all over the world. Look at that one walking. What in the world? That's in the sky.
Wow.
What are people seeing? What is this? Looks like a slinky going down the steps. But look at that. What is it doing?
Shapeshifter.
It is
That's a
shapeshifting.
close up of it. It looks like a jelly.
That's where Transformers get their morphing from. This sort of stuff.
Being rolling through the sky.
Does it make you think of plasma?
It does.
Some kind of plasma?
It does make me think of it. Look, that's real close on it. It looks like a worm.
It looks like something tumbling over and over and
Yeah.
over. It looks like something inside a sheet tumbling
Yeah,
over
it
and over.
does. But these are all allegedly filmed from the sky all over the world. This is in Miami. Okay, what is that? That looks like a bug or something.
Is there two of them?
There's two of them. They're just sitting there. Oh, one of them's like it's almost trying to disappear. Now, what do we see? What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, we just went through how many
So Thomas Doherty said that was a flying bag.
how
Very
many
possible.
weeks or months of the
What is this?
drones last year? You know?
Yeah.
And now this?
Kid in a pillowcase.
The kid in a pillowcase.
Teletubby. I love our live chat. They're awesome.
Give them long enough and they will figure this out, right?
This is just a sphere, a ball just flying through the air. And it's just, look at it. It's just,
oh, wow.
What is that?
Look at that.
What would you do if you saw that in the sky?
Mm-hmm.
That was in Miami.
ZPE technology. What is that?
Oh, look at this. Homeowner got a ring notification 700 miles away. What is that?
You are currently being recorded.
Oh, little
What
orbs
the
inside their
heck?
home?
Yeah. It looks like it's looking outside the window.
Whoa.
I'm the one I'd be doing. I'm getting an oil bottle. Rebuking that devil.
Definitely.
All right, let's continue. And I'm gonna make a big announcement in just a second. These we love this channel here. We go to this channel all the time to see what's happening with AI technology. This is combining AI with
Playfair University used to be free in Australia. Trumpeter Patriots will make it free again. For view existing HEX debts. Vote 1, Trumpeter Patriots.
Ears still blocked? Ear Clear helps move wax out of the ear naturally.
with real interviews from real people. So what you're going to see right here, and I'm going to see if I can play the audio. These are actual interviews of people with real video. They just told AI, turn this video into aliens.
But I don't like.
And this is what we get.
I'd like to be a vegetarian if it's my health, but yeah, I do feel better when I eat it.
We need the meat because of our brains. Those things that are coming from the meat is helping the brains.
I can imagine being a vegetarian probably for 1 week, but it's very difficult to be a vegetarian for the rest of my life.
It really gives me a strength. When I don't eat it, I feel weak. I feel weak.
With the meat, I can make a very good sauce. I have tried plain taste, but I don't like the taste. No.
Why am I so bothered and offended?
I'm very bothered and offended by that too.
How dare you? What?
Yeah. But also, have you heard about the China's genetically modified children?
No.
You're gonna love this. This is gonna be another nominee for the Golden Chicken.
China, Russia, it is getting weird. Like CRISPR and these genome engineering tools are outside of the bottle. They're out. It's like the genie out of the bottle, right? It's like if it's out there, you can't put it back in. I think that more and more people in other countries are going to be doing things with these technologies for humans. That's why Colossal just said we will never do anything for humans. If someone else wants to use our technologies for humans, we'll evaluate
But that gets so weird, right? Like the China story. You can't explain to people what they did. They said they were inoculating them from HIV, which was
they actually were
very
engineering. They were engineering babies and editing their embryos to confer a resistance to HIV. Now, still to this day, so they were cloning them and then they were genetically modifying them. And so they're doing lots of things there's a general moratorium in the world on some of these things around humans, anything that's considered a germline edit. So anything that could be passed on to the next generation, right? So if you engineer something into the genome, the fear is, from a germline. So all your cells in your body are somatic cells, except for your egg or sperm buying. During COVID, they're like, we'll do all the COVID testing for you for free. We'll do all this COVID testing for you for free. No worries, just send us your data. We'll do it all for free. You just want to help the world, right? We'll work with the World Health Organization. Just send us all your samples from all your countries, everything. And publicly, the CEO of BGI has said, which is funded by the CCP, has said that they are looking at genes with humans. They are looking at what makes humans more intelligent. They don't shy away from this. This is not like some conspiracy. Like you're like, is it a Sasquatch or is it just a man in an ape suit? This is something that is very real. They are openly saying we are sequencing as much as we can of the world population, looking for genes for intelligence, and we will act on that.
Whoa.
So they're openly admitting that they're creating super soldiers from the embryo.
Come on.
Super intelligent, this is China. All right, so let me just go through. I'm gonna cancel all these right here.
Yeah, I think we need to appreciate.
There's a photo of North Korea, and the military was on parade, and there was a giant there. Like, this thing was 10 foot tall, built like a brick shit house. He was a big boy, and that was in North Korea. Yeah, I don't think you can find that photo now. I'll see if I can.
Really what that story was about. We
Yeah.
are combing through people from every race.
Exactly.
We not only have we created this database of this DNA, but we are looking into this DNA because we want to be able to pull out whatever these traits, these certain traits.
Yeah.
Literally.
All right, so this was sent to me by somebody in our church here, and I was just like, is this even real? But this is real, y'all.
No.
This is a church that worships aliens. Was this in Los Angeles?
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Down in LA. The owner ended up coming across the video, and he sent me a DM asking me if I wanted to come back in for an interview. To be honest, at first I didn't know if this place was a giant troll or if they really thought that an alien died on the cross for our sins. Until we started talking to some of the members.
2027, they're gonna show themselves more boldly to the world. Yeah, and it's gonna be a lot.
What's your biggest goal?
Of the church is to develop this technology. We want this chip to read our blood pressure. It's gonna read adrenaline in the blood. So this chip is gonna allow us to end with crime.
We met a member that showed us this magnet in his hand.
Connected to my blood veins, and it's magnetic.
When you were 7?
7 years old. I don't know how long I had it, but that's when the magnet stuck to it.
This was starting to freak me out, not gonna lie.
I've seen UFOs. I've seen some crazy stuff, and I think this has something to do with it. I have no remembrance of being abducted, but ever since I discovered this when I was 7 years old, I've had supernatural and strange experiences. Every doctor said this is very strange and impractical.
He even showed us the x-ray he got done, and then this weird octagon bump he had on the back of his head that he was born with.
Almost impossible to conceive of.
Things got weirder though, so far for part 2. A couple weeks ago, I came across an alien church.
So did you hear the first part where she said he said they're going to show themselves very prominently in 2027.
Yeah. Can't wait.
The third nomination for the Golden Chicken Award, and we'll award that in just a moment. Which one you're gonna have to think back and decide which one wins in just a minute. But y'all, let me just tell you something. I'm upset with Donald Trump on this mRNA self-replicating thing. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm upset with it. But I do like what he did today, because let's go back 1 year ago this week. 1 year ago this week, we were reading the presidential proclamation.
Right.
And that came out on Easter Sunday, Resurrection Sunday. The White House proclamation had mentioned nothing about the resurrection, nothing about Easter. It was Trans Identity Awareness Day.
Right.
They literally talked about it all day on Easter as Trans Awareness Day. Do you remember that last year?
Oh, yes.
What a difference a year makes. Donald Trump this week put out the presidential message on Holy Week 2025. Now, you can say whatever you want to say about it. You can say he's the Antichrist, but I got news for you. I don't think the Antichrist would say this, okay? I'm not saying you got to love him or even like him, but you got to appreciate this. I don't think we've ever had a president, including the last Donald Trump administration, as much as he was pro-Christian. I don't think he's ever said anything like this. This is the actual proclamation. We're going to read it. This Holy Week, Melania and I join in prayer with Christians celebrating the crucifixion and resurrection of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, the living Son of God, who conquered death, freed us from sin, and unlocked the gates of heaven for all humanity. Beginning with Christ's triumphal entry into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday, and culminating in the Paschal Triduum, which begins on Holy Thursday with the Mass of the Lord's Supper, followed by Good Friday.
Okay, there's no way Trump wrote this. There's no way on earth Trump wrote this.
And reaching its pinnacle in the Easter Vigil on Holy Saturday night. This week is a time of reflection for Christians, to memorialize Jesus' crucifixion and to prepare their hearts, minds, and souls for his miraculous resurrection from the dead. During this sacred week, we acknowledge that the glory of Easter Sunday cannot.
As 102,000 rattler trains with shackles in them, as they're getting brought in the state of the guillotines, Trump's playing the Christian card.
Come without the sacrifice Jesus Christ made on the cross. This Holy Week, my administration renews its promise to defend the Christian faith in our schools, military, workplace, hospitals, and halls of government. We will never waver in safeguarding the right to religious liberty, upholding the dignity of life, and protecting God in the public square.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know what else to say to that except you got to appreciate that. I mean, I'll be honest with you, that was more clearly spoken of the power of the resurrection than you'll hear out of most pulpits nowadays.
I would agree with you.
That's true.
I mean, so
You
what
just
a
did
difference
not-
a year makes.
Exactly, and you just did not expect that.
No, you didn't. But it's there. And it's,
Yeah.
you go to whitehouse.gov, it's there.
Mm.
The Easter Proclamation. Go read it to your kids. Go read it to your family.
Absolutely.
That's the words of the President of the United States of America. Thank you for joining us on The Big Picture. We appreciate all of you. Thank you to all of our partners. Thank you to those that subscribe.
I enjoyed that channel. I'll be back to visit them.
What do you want to be when you grow up? With ease, expertise, and great value, know how to grow with UniSuper.
And the punishment they received. Some people have never heard of this book before, but it gives shocking insights. By the end of this video, you'll understand why these angels fell, what their actions caused, and most of all, how God responded. This story isn't just history. It has deep meaning for us today. It shows God's power, his justice, and the ongoing battle between good and evil. So stay tuned. The truth about the fallen angels may surprise you, and what God did to them will leave you in awe. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who's ready to learn the truth. Let's begin. So, who exactly are the fallen angels? The term fallen angel simply means an angel who was once in heaven with God, but chose to disobey him and was cast out. These angels were created by God to serve him and carry out his will, but some of them became proud, rebellious, and wanted their own way. Because of this, they fell from their holy position. One of the most well-known fallen angels is Lucifer. In Isaiah 14, we read about a being who said, "I will ascend to the heavens. I will make myself like the Most High." This is believed to describe Lucifer's pride and rebellion. As a result, God threw him down from heaven. In Revelation 12, we learn that Lucifer, also called Satan, took 1/3 of the angels with him. They followed him in his rebellion against God and were also cast out of heaven. But that's not all. In Genesis 6, we're told about other angels, often called the Watchers, who left their proper place in heaven and came to earth. These angels saw human women and took them as wives. Their union led to the birth of strange and powerful beings called the Nephilim. These angels broke God's rules in a serious way, and their actions brought great evil into the world. So in short, Lucifer fell because of pride. 1/3 of heaven's angels fell with him. Some angels came to earth, sinned with humans, and created chaos. These are the fallen angels, and their story is just beginning. So now we know who the fallen angels are. But why did they fall in the first place? It all started with pride and rebellion. Lucifer, who was once a beautiful and powerful angel, wanted more than what God had given him. He wanted to be equal to God, even to take his place. In his heart he said, I will rise above the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Isaiah 14. Because of this pride, Lucifer turned against God. He didn't want to serve anymore. He wanted to rule. And when he rebelled, many angels followed him. The Bible says in Revelation 12 that 1/3 of all the angels in heaven were cast out with him. But pride wasn't the only reason angels fell. In Genesis 6, we read about another group of angels, often called the Watchers. These angels left heaven and came down to earth. They saw human women and took them as wives. This was not what God had created angels for, and it was a serious sin. Their children, called the Nephilim, were giants and brought violence and corruption to the earth. This was one of the main reasons God sent the great flood, to clean the earth of the evil they caused. The book of Enoch, an ancient text not in the Bible, gives even more details. It says the Watchers taught humans things they weren't supposed to know, like witchcraft, war, and dark secrets. Because of this, God punished them by binding them in chains and locking them away in darkness. In short, the fallen angels fell because of pride, rebellion, and crossing lines God never meant them to cross. When the angels rebelled against God, he did not let it slide. God is holy and just, and he took action. The fallen angels had to face the consequences of their sins. Let's start with Lucifer's fall. In Luke 10:18, Jesus said, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. This shows how quickly and powerfully God removed Lucifer from his place in heaven. Lucifer, who wanted to rise above God, was thrown down instead. He lost his position, his beauty, and his honor. Now, he is known as Satan, the enemy of God and mankind. But Satan wasn't the only one punished. The Watchers, the angels who came to earth and took human women as wives, as described in Genesis 6, also faced God's judgment. Their actions were so evil that they caused great trouble on earth. God decided to deal with them in a very serious way. In Jude 1:6, we read, And the angels who did not keep their proper place but left their own home, God has kept in eternal chains, in darkness, until the judgment day. This means these fallen angels were not just sent away. They were chained, trapped in a dark place, and are still there today, waiting for final judgment. The book of Enoch, though not in the Bible, gives more details. It says that God sent the angel Michael to bind the leader of the Watchers, and the rest were locked in deep pits under the earth, what the Bible calls the abyss or Tartarus. There's a clear difference in how God judged them. Lucifer and his angels were cast down to earth. They now roam and influence the world with evil. The Watchers were imprisoned, bound in chains in total darkness, waiting for the day when God will judge them forever. God's judgment was swift, powerful, and fair. The fallen angels made a terrible choice, and they are still paying the price. When the fallen angels came to earth, they caused a lot of trouble. One of the biggest results of their sin was the birth of the Nephilim. In Genesis 6, it says, the sons of God, the fallen angels, took human women as wives. Their children were the Nephilim, giants who were powerful and violent. These giants weren't just tall, they were dangerous. They brought fear, chaos, and evil to the world. The earth became full of wickedness. People turned away from God. There was violence everywhere, and the hearts of people were full of evil thoughts all the time. The fallen angels had taught humans things they weren't ready for, like war, sorcery, and lies. Because of all this, God was heartbroken. In Genesis 6, 5-6, it says God saw how evil the world had become, and was sorry he had made man. That's when God decided to send the great flood, to clean the earth and
Advance. It's worth shaping our future way of life.
And coal, metals and minerals like those mined by Glencore help to make it possible.
Nickel and cobalt for delivery drones.
Help make deliveries faster everywhere.
Murder, and midwives.
Sonatas House Midwife speaking.
Brand new seasons of Silent Witness, Death in Paradise, and Call the Midwife are now streaming exclusively on BritBox.
Go!
Watch them free trial now.
and remove the evil that had spread. Only Noah and his family were saved because they still followed God. Everyone else, including the Nephilim, was destroyed in the flood. But even after that, the fight between good and evil didn't stop. The fallen angels may have been punished, but Satan and his demons still roam the earth. There is still a spiritual war going on between God's truth and Satan's lies. We may not see angels or demons with our eyes, but the battle continues in the hearts of people, in the choices we make, and in the fight between light and darkness. To understand the full story of the fallen angels, we have to look at more than just one book. Some of the story is found in the Bible, but other parts come from what are called apocryphal texts, books like the Book of Enoch and the Book of Jubilees. The Bible, or canonical texts, includes books like Genesis, Jude, Isaiah, and Revelation. These are accepted as part of God's Word by most Christian groups. They give us key information: how Lucifer fell, how the angels rebelled, and how God judged them. But there are other ancient texts, like the Book of Enoch, that go into more detail. For example, Enoch names some of the fallen angels and explains what they taught humans, things like magic, war, and how to make weapons. It also describes their punishment in a way that lines up with Jude 1:6. So why aren't these books in the Bible? The answer is that when the Bible was being put together, early church leaders chose which books to include. They picked the ones they believed were directly inspired by God and supported by other parts of Scripture. Books like Enoch and Jubilees were left out because they weren't as well known or had some ideas that caused debate. Still, these apocryphal books give us extra background and help us understand what people believed at the time. Even though they're not part of the official Bible, they can be useful when read carefully.
True.
So what can we learn from the story of the fallen angels? First, it teaches us a serious lesson about pride and rebellion. Lucifer was once close to God, but pride made him want more. He wanted to be like God, and that pride led to his fall. The same goes for the Watchers. They left their place in heaven and chose sin. Their rebellion caused pain, chaos, and destruction. God is full of love, but he is also just. He doesn't ignore evil. The punishment of the fallen angels shows us that God always deals with sin. He gave the angels a choice, and when they chose to rebel, they had to face the consequences. This also points us to the final judgment. The Bible says that one day God will judge the whole world, both angels and people. The fallen angels are already bound and waiting for that day. We too must choose where we stand, with God or against him. So how do we live in a world where good and evil still battle every day? We need spiritual discernment. That means learning to tell what is truly from God and what is not. The fallen angels once looked holy, but their hearts were far from God. Today, we must stay close to God's word, pray often, and follow his truth. This story reminds us, no one is too high to fall, and no one is too low for God to save. Stay humble, stay alert, and stay faithful. In the end, God wins, and those who stand with him will share in that victory. from heaven's glory to chains of darkness. This story shows us that God's judgment is real.
Amen.
We've seen how pride brought Lucifer down, how the Watchers crossed the line, and how their actions led to chaos, giants, and the great flood. And yet, the spiritual battle still continues today. Now, we want to hear from you. Do you believe the fallen angels still influence the world today? Drop your thoughts in the comments.
There is only one Australian flag that represents all Australians. We don't need to be welcome to our
Boat and bring in 2 of every kind of animal, 1 male, 1 female. What if I told you there was a creature God himself refused to save during the great flood? We've all heard the story of Noah's Ark. God tells Noah to build a huge boat and bring in 2 of every kind of animal, 1 male, 1 female, so they can survive the flood and repopulate the earth. It's a powerful story of faith, obedience, and second chances. But what if not every creature was welcome? What if there was something, some being, that was so strange, so dangerous, or so corrupted that God said, "Not this one"? That's what we're exploring in today's video. This is a part of the story you probably haven't heard in Sunday school. It's not often preached in church, but it's in the Bible and in other ancient writings that add even more detail. There are clues scattered throughout scripture and ancient texts that suggest not every living thing was meant to be saved. Some creatures were left behind, and one in particular stands out, a creature so mysterious. Some believe it wasn't even fully part of God's creation. What was it? Why wasn't it allowed on the ark? And what does it mean for us today? Stick around until the end, because what you're about to hear may change how you see the story of Noah forever. Ancient texts, forgotten scriptures, and deep theological clues are about to uncover something incredible. Let's dive in. To understand this forgotten part of the story, let's first go back to the basics. Noah's Ark. A long time ago, the world had become full of evil. People were violent, selfish, and had turned away from God. The Bible says that God looked at the earth and saw that all flesh had corrupted its ways. He was heartbroken by what his creation had become. So God made a decision. He would send a great flood to clean the earth and start over. But he didn't want to wipe out everything. He chose one man who was still faithful, Noah. God told Noah to build a huge boat called an ark. He gave him exact instructions on how to build it and how long it should be. Then God told Noah to bring his family into the ark and to also bring animals. The command was clear. Bring 2 of every kind of animal, 1 male and 1 female. Birds, land animals, crawling creatures, so that life could continue after the flood. Imagine that scene. Animals of every kind walking into the ark, 2 by 2. Lions, elephants, sheep, birds, all finding a place in God's plan. But here's something many people miss. Not everything was allowed on the ark. That's right. While most animals were saved, some creatures were not invited. They were left behind, forgotten, or maybe even rejected on purpose. Why? What were they? And what made them so different from the rest? This is where things get interesting and mysterious, because once we look deeper, we find that the story of Noah's Ark may be bigger and stranger than we ever thought. So now we come to the big question. What was this creature that God refused to save? And why wasn't it allowed on Noah's Ark? The Bible
I'm guessing the unicorn.
tells us that 2 of every kind of animal were brought into the ark. But some ancient stories, old Jewish writings, and hidden books called apocryphal texts suggest something else. They hint that there were certain creatures that were not invited. These were not your normal animals. Some were not even fully natural. Some of these writings speak of strange beings that lived before the flood, creatures that were part human, part something else. Some say they were born from evil, from fallen angels who came to earth and mixed with humans or animals. Others believe these creatures were giants, monsters, or even spirits that had taken on physical form. Now, we're not just talking about fantasy stories or myths. These ideas come from real, ancient sources that were known in Bible times, like the Book of Enoch and early Jewish traditions. So, who or what was this forbidden creature? Was it a giant, a hybrid beast, a dark spirit in disguise? We can't be sure just yet. But what we do know is this: something about this creature made it unfit to be saved. It didn't belong with God's creation. It was something outside of his plan, and God left it behind when he cleansed the earth. This mystery has been buried for thousands of years. Now let's look at some of the possible creatures that may have been left off Noah's Ark. Some of them come from the Bible. Others come from ancient writings and stories passed down for generations. The first and most well-known are the Nephilim. You can find them in Genesis 6:4. They were described as giants, mighty and powerful. But many believe they were more than just big people. According to ancient texts, they were the children of fallen angels and human women. This mix created something unnatural, half human, half angelic beings. Some call them corrupted flesh, meaning they were not part of God's original creation. Because of this, many believe they were not allowed on the ark. Another possible candidate is Lilith. She's not in the Bible, but she appears in Jewish folklore. Some stories say she was Adam's first wife before Eve, but she disobeyed and became something dark, a demonic spirit. Some say she gave birth to evil creatures and was never meant to be part of God's plan. She too would have been left behind.
100% Australian-owned energy.
Then there are the dinosaurs or dragons. While the Bible doesn't mention them clearly, some believe they were part of the world before the flood. Old stories and extra-biblical books describe huge, scary beasts that may have gone extinct because they weren't allowed on the ark. Finally, there's the idea of unclean spirits or abominations. These are beings that are twisted, evil, or possessed. God may have left them out of the ark to keep his creation pure. So, were these the creatures God refused to save? Let's now look at what the Bible and other ancient writings actually say about these strange creatures. In Genesis 6:12-13, the Bible says, "All flesh had corrupted its way on the earth." This means that not just people, but animals too, had become corrupted. Something had gone wrong in God's creation. So God told Noah that he was going to destroy everything with a great flood. But what does corrupted really mean? This is where the book of Enoch gives us more details. It's an ancient Jewish book that was popular during Bible times, but it's not included in most Bibles today. In the book of Enoch, it says that fallen angels came down to earth and taught humans things they weren't supposed to know. They also mixed with human women and even animals. This created strange and unnatural beings, things that God never intended. This mixing of angels, humans, and animals was one reason God sent the flood, to wipe away these corrupted creatures. Some early Jewish rabbis and Christian writers also spoke about this. They believed the flood wasn't just about punishing sinful people. It was also about removing creatures that were not part of God's design. These were beings that had no place in the new world God wanted to create after the flood. So according to these sources, God chose to leave these creatures out of the ark. He didn't want their corruption to continue. This gives us a deeper reason why some creatures, like the Nephilim or other strange beings, may have been rejected by God. So why did God say no to these creatures? The Bible gives us a clear answer: corruption and violence. In Genesis, it says the earth was full of evil. People were hurting each other. They had turned away from God. But it wasn't just humans. All flesh had corrupted its way. What does that mean? Many believe it means that even animals and other creatures were no longer pure. Some had been changed, hybrids, mixed with things they were never meant to be. Fallen angels had tampered with creation. The world God made was being twisted into something dark and unnatural. God's plan with the flood wasn't just to start over. It was to preserve what was pure and holy. Noah was chosen because he was faithful and had not been corrupted. The animals that entered the ark were part of God's original design, male and female, just as he created them. The other creatures, the ones that were violent, twisted, or born from evil, God said no to them. He did not want them to be part of the new world after the flood. This shows both God's justice and his mercy. His justice, because he removed what was evil and harmful. His mercy, because he gave the earth a second chance. He saved Noah, his family, and all the animals he had created, so that life could begin again the right way. So, when we hear that some creatures were left behind, it wasn't random. It was a clear choice by God to protect his creation. And that's a powerful part of the story that meant
your business is unique. So is our protection.
Well,
Sophos
yes.
offers a tailored approach to fit your cybersecurity needs. Your business charts the course, and Sophos clears the path to your success. That's a win-win. That's Sophos.
NRMA Insurance is proud to announce that we now offer home loans.
Good night, Di.
that many people miss. Now let's talk about what this forbidden creature means on a deeper level. Spiritually, this creature is more than just a being left off the ark. It symbolizes corruption, something that has turned away from what God created it to be. It represents anything that is outside of God's plan, something that looks like it belongs, but really doesn't. The story reminds us that not everything should be saved. Not everything deserves to move forward into the future God is building. It's a warning about allowing evil